In this video, we are going to identify and explain properties of mathematics as measured by providing examples for each property. Properties of real numbers. First of all, what is a property? In math, properties are statements that are true for any number that we plug into it. They justify steps when simplifying expressions and solving equations. So these properties are going to be used as we solve equations later on. First is the commutative property of both addition and multiplication. This means the order of the values does not matter. An example of this property is the property a plus b equals b plus a. We can turn around the order on b plus a to a plus b, and those sides are still equivalent. Works the same way with if we plug numbers into them. 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. Now, because this property works for both addition and multiplication, we have x times y is the same as y times x. So 5 times 4 is the same as 4 times 5. They're both equal to 20. The associative property means the grouping of values doesn't matter. Now this only works for addition or multiplication again. So parentheses a plus b plus c is equal to a plus parentheses b plus c. So notice we're only using addition in both sides of that equation, but the parentheses are in different places. So notice here we have parentheses around 5 plus 1, and then we're adding 3 to it. 5 plus 1 is 6, and then we add 3, and that makes 9. If we work the right side of that equation, we're doing the 1 plus 3 first, which is 4, but we're adding 5 plus 4, which is still 9. So those sides of the equation are still equivalent because of the associative property. Works the same way for multiplication. We have 2 times 4 here in the parentheses, which is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. If we work the right side, we have 4 times 7, which is 28. 28 times 2 is still 56. So the placement of the parentheses, or the grouping of the parentheses, when we're only looking at multiplication, doesn't matter. Next, we have the identity property. This identifies values in an equation that makes that equation stay the same. So we have these two examples where a plus 0 is equal to a. Adding 0 does not change anything. So this is called the additive identity. 0 is the additive identity value. Multiplicative identity is 1, because if we multiply anything times 1, we get that same thing back. That's called the multiplicative identity. We have the inverse property, which is using opposites to cancel a value. Notice cancel is in parentheses. What this means is we are making this either 0 or 1. So a plus negative a equals 0, because a and negative a are additive opposites. A times 1 divided by a equals 1, because a and 1 over a are multiplicative opposites. So once again, the additive identity is 0 and the multiplicative identity is 1. So we're trying to cancel those out to its respective identity value. The property of 0. No matter what happens when we multiply by 0, we always get 0 back. 17 times 0 is 0. A times 0 is 0. Negative 1 over a times 0 is still 0. The distributive property means we are multiplying a value to an expression that's in parentheses. We'll talk more about this in a later lesson, but for right now, this is what distribution looks like. We have a that's being distributed across this expression b plus c. So we're sharing the a with every term inside that expression. Same here with the 2. We're sharing the 2, which means we're multiplying the 2 times both the x and the 7 to get 2x plus 14. We're multiplying the negative 5 times y and minus z to get negative 5y plus 5z. The reflexive property means a value is always equal to itself. So a is always going to equal a. 16 equals 16. 5x equals 5x. 4y squared equals 4y squared. This is really useful when we're checking for a valid statement, to see whether or not a statement is true. When we get the same on both the left and the right side, and we have that reflexive statement. The symmetric property means we can flip the equal sign and what's on either side of it. So if A equals B, then B equals A. So we can swap what's on either side of the equal sign. X equals 3 is the exact same as 3 equals x. 5x equal to 30 is the same as saying 30 is equal to 5x. The transitive property. Notice we kind of have this word transfer kind of in there. Trans means to change. So we have if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. We call this the Middleman property. Notice how B is in both of those equations. So what we're doing is we're cutting out that middleman and saying A is equal to C. So if 4 plus 3 is 7, and 7 is the square root of 49, we can cut out that middleman of 7 and combine 4 plus 3 equal to the square root of 49. All right, so these are all of our properties. Make sure you've included the name of the property, its explanation, and the example.